Hey cruisers, welcome to today's live stream. Today we are talking all about MSC Seaside and our recent Western Caribbean cruise for 7 nights on board the new vessel. It was wonderful. I just want to get that out of the way and tell everybody that we had a terrific time. Today's episode is sponsored by cruiseline.com, where you can compare cruise prices using easy-to-use cruise search. If you haven't already, check them out using the link in the description box below. Full disclosure, we want to let everyone know that we were hosted by MSC Cruises on this trip. We've always promised that we will let you know if we are hosted or if we are sponsored. We were not paid to go on this cruise. Our opinions are absolutely ours, and we will be honest with you, as we always are, about our experience. I think that's a very important way to start this video, is just to let you know right away that we had a terrific time and that we are so appreciative for the opportunity to MSC. Someone asked me earlier in the chat today, I think the most important question of all about our cruise. And thank you, Night Audit, for asking that question. And that question was, will you sail with MSC again? And the answer is absolutely. Now I have more developed opinions about where I'd want to go with MSC, what type of cabin I'd want to be in, what type of experience I would choose. But the answer is absolutely. And in case some of you are wondering what cruises we would be interested in with MSC, Northern Europe has definitely caught my eye. I am dreaming about seeing Norway. I'm hearing so many wonderful things about it these days. I know you guys are probably hearing the same thing. So I'd love to consider a cruise again with MSC and to totally experience their European product over in Europe, where I'm sure it is a phenomenal product as well. So hope everybody's doing great. We had a ton of people in the chat. Today we're going to be here for 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how long it takes us to get through our review. We do ask that you limit all of your questions today to MSC or MSC Seaside, because we know that if we start going outside of those questions and our review, that we're going to get sidetracked and distracted, and we don't want to do that. We want to stay on track and use our time really wisely. So hope everyone's doing well. Popping into the chat for just a quick moment. I see a lot of you, Reggie asked me the same question. A lot of you are planning cruises on MSC. Mr. Cruise Tips TV is going to look through the chat today for questions about MSC, and when we come to stopping points, he's going to give me a group of your MSC questions. If you type in questions about other cruise lines or other experiences, we're not going to be able to get to it. So please forgive us. We will definitely do a general Q&A live stream soon. No live stream next weekend because I got to get my hair done on Saturday, but please know that we're going to try to do some midweek live streaming over the coming weeks. Junior Editor and I have some travel planned for the weekend after that too. So for the next 2 Saturdays, you're probably not going to see us here, but we're going to pop up and keep you posted on when we're going to go live. It's super important that you follow us on social media so we can tell you when we're going live. Of course, we always tell you here on YouTube too in that community tab, but if you're following on Instagram and Facebook, it's just so much easier. Also, many of you already know, but we did something totally different on our MSC Seaside cruise, and that is that we used Instagram to live, I guess you could say we did live Instagram stories on our whole cruise. Every single day, we popped up with little videos live. We have saved our Instagram story, and I really wish I would have given you guys a screenshot because this is going to be very difficult to see on my phone. We have saved our Instagram story as a highlight right here. I know you cannot see this very well, but this is what Instagram looks like. This is our page, and these little bubbles right here underneath my profile are called highlights. Highlights are our saved video stories, and if you click into the MSC Seaside one, you will see a start to finish account of our whole trip. It is not polished, it is not fancy, but Junior Editor and my husband and I are in some of the little videos, and they are a ton of fun to watch. And it's just really different from what we normally do. So if you want to see something different and you want to see a live account of our trip, please go check it out. So today what we're going to cover with regards to MSC Seaside, we're going to try to keep to a structure. We're going to give you an overall rundown of the cruise. So what type of cabin did we have? What experience did we have? What ports did we visit? Then we're going to give you some tips on the ship in general. We're going to talk about our cabin. We're going to talk about dining, food and drink, because I know a ton of you have questions about dining on this ship. We're going to talk in great detail about the ports that we visited and our excursions. We're going to talk about the spa and the thermal suite. We're going to talk about the shows. We're going to talk briefly about the internet packages. And then at the very end, I'm going to tell you the 3 things that we missed on this ship. I'm not going to say things we didn't like. It really wasn't that at all. It was 3 things we missed. So stay till the end and I'll share those things with you. So I'm going to start by telling you just a little bit about our cabin and the experience itself. So we had a balcony cabin on deck 10. It was cabin number 10245. It had a balcony, a beautiful, very large balcony. It was sort of towards the aft area of the ship, not aft facing, but sort of towards the aft area, which we really liked because the aft elevator is extremely convenient and a great place to be if you're booking on MSC Seaside. We, again, had a bathroom with a shower in it, so no bathtub. That's the type of cabin we had. Now, because we were hosted by MSC, we had sort of a special media package that we sailed with. So you know how MSC allows you to book into several different experiences. You either purchase the Bella, Fantastica, Aria, Wellness, or Yacht Club experience. Our experience was closest to the Aria experience. And the Aria experience, which if you look at the website, and all of the different inclusive benefits with that. The Aria experience includes room service in your room. You also have full access to the bar, so you have unlimited drinks. You have a thermal suite for the adults in the cabin, for 2 adults in the cabin, so access to on the entire cruise to the spa thermal suite, which was amazing, by the way. All of the entertainment. There is an exclusive sun deck and bar for Aria guests, and things like that. There's a few other things as well, but those are the main components of the Aria experience. It is not the Yacht Club. I know that you probably have seen that we did have a few meals in the Yacht Club. We were not guests of the Yacht Club. We did not stay in the Yacht Club complex, but we did, however, interview the Yacht Club director. Thank you for subscribing, John. And we learned a ton about the Yacht Club experience, which deserves its own episode. So we've decided to discuss the Yacht Club in a completely separate episode just to keep all of that information in one place for you. But I want to give you just a little bit more information about the cruise itself. So this was a Western Caribbean cruise for us. It was very, very port intensive. We had 4 ports out of 7 days. Really, it's more like 4 ports out of 6 days if you think about it. So we went to Ocho Rios, Jamaica. We went to Grand Cayman. We went to Cozumel, and we went to Nassau in the Bahamas. So 4 of our days were very, very busy port days, which left us with only really 2 sea days and our embarkation day to really get to know the ship, because the activities that we chose in these ports were so active and intense that we were off the ship a lot of the time. So we will be talking a lot about all the choices that we made and the decisions that we made on ports and activities, because I know a ton of you were following and you probably want to know if Junior did the dolphin swim and all that good stuff. So we're going to get there. So it's a little bit more information about that. I want to share our tips for MSC Seaside kind of right up front, because I know that some people do not like to watch a full hour of a live stream. So some of the tips that I have for you, and Desi, I see your question, and I think I'm going to answer that now because it's important. When you sail in the Aria category, Desi, for dining, you are invited to go to the anytime dining room between the hours of, like, I don't know, 5:30 and 9:30 or something like that. So we essentially had an anytime walk-in type dining. Okay, so quick answer to your question there. But let's go back to my tips. For those of you who don't want to watch a full hour episode, these are the things, regardless of how you're sailing, which ship you're sailing, that I really think you should take into consideration if you're going on MSC Seaside. The first tip I have is this little wristband right here. The MSC wristband is absolutely and totally worth $5. This little guy gets you in and out of your room. You can buy drinks with it. You can do everything you would normally do with your cruise card. The only exception is you cannot use it to get on and off the ship. You must take your cruise card, but this was so cool. We loved this. My son loved being able to get in and out of the room with no cruise card. So highly recommend that you invest in the wristband. Also, another tip for you, one of our subscribers, Ginger, had asked a question earlier in the chat today about the status match program. I'm not going to go into detail on the status match program because it's way too complex to do. Thank you, Shailene, very much. But if you have any sort of loyalty built up with another cruise line and you're planning to go on MSC, please investigate their status match program and get your status match so you can get special perks. It depends entirely on what cruise line you have loyalty with, so I can't tell you what your perks will be. But I can tell you that I have heard nothing but exceptional things about the status match program, so please do it. Also would highly recommend, if you can afford it and you are considering MSC, I do strongly suggest that you at least look at the pricing for the Aria experience or the Yacht Club experience. When we got back, we got online and took a look at the Yacht Club experience, and we were so pleasantly surprised. Again, we didn't sail in a Yacht Club cabin, but we so enjoyed the complex, the Yacht Club complex, that it is something we'd consider in the future. And it is laid back. It is not pretentious. It is not for snooty people necessarily. It is definitely something you should look at. I do strongly suggest you look at either the Aria experience, where you're in with the general population, but you have a ton of perks, including that thermal suite access, or the Yacht Club. So that's another tip. One unique thing about MSC Seaside is that they do require wristbands for certain activities. They require you to register, sign a waiver, and wear a wristband for the zip lining and some of the more advanced water slides. I strongly suggest that if you're going on the ship that you get them early. Some of the water slides may not be open on the first day, but the wristbands may be for sale. Get on that ship, and if you're going to be sliding and zipping, ask an employee where to get your wristband and when, and just get it over with. Trust me. Sliding and zipping, Mr. Cruise Tips TV said. All right. Another thing I want to tell you, a lot of you are going to be asking me today, how does MSC compare to this cruise line or that cruise line? Is it right for me? The answer is, guys, I don't know. Most of the time, unless I know you really well, I cannot answer that question. So what I really want you to do is I want you to watch our vlogs. Watch every day. We included and left in as much detail and as much about our surroundings as we possibly could so that you could see, feel, hear, and almost even touch the chocolate in some cases, touch and smell and taste the chocolate, because we want you to make your own decision. I am not most likely familiar enough with you to make that decision for you. So please know that watching our vlogs will be a good education. I promise you, it will give you a really good overview of the MSC experience, hopefully in a very unbiased, honest, and great way. I can also tell you that I think that another tip is that MSC is a good cruise line for families. There were over 500 children on this ship. This is a ship that holds about 4,000 people, plus or minus, somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000. And there were a lot of children, a lot of families, and it is very well structured and designed for families and kids. There's a ton to do. So if you're wondering about that, little tip for you. I have 2 more tips for you, and then I promise we'll get into some questions. We'll take a question break, and then I'll go on back on track. My other tip for you is to do what we did if you're sailing on MSC and go into it with an open mind. We know that MSC is an Italian or European cruise company. We know that they have absolutely purpose-built this ship for the Caribbean and North American market, but we also knew that it was still going to be a somewhat European experience. For us, that was exciting. That was something we totally looked forward to. And some of the things that we ended up loving on the ship were things we totally expected to love, like the pizza. And some of the other things that we loved on the ship, we had no idea would be so cool. Like, for example, they give you actual canned Coke instead of bar Coke almost everywhere. They also give you the choice between still and sparkling water at your meals. Will you get ice in your cup at dinner? Maybe not unless you ask for it. But how nice is it to be offered still or sparkling water in the main dining room? That's a very luxurious European thing, and we loved it. Go into it with an open mind, you guys. Of course it's a little bit different than some of the mass market cruise lines, but they have really made strides at gearing it more towards the North American market. With that said, I would say that 70 to 80% of the passengers, on my best guess, were probably European. We heard German, French, Italian, and probably dozens of other languages that we couldn't identify throughout the course of the week. The passengers were very kind and very civilized, with a few exceptions. Of course, there's always jerks on cruises, right? Have you guys ever been on a cruise where there hasn't been someone that was rude? We did not encounter people being rude to the staff. I had people ask me about that beforehand, and that is not something we saw. We did have a funny thing happen a lot on this cruise that totally reminded us of when we lived in Europe, and that is that people would just walk right in front of you in line. They would cut right in front of you. If you were in line for the dining room or the buffet, you had to be like, holding your spot. Definitely a cultural difference, nothing the cruise line can do about it, but it definitely happened a few times, and it was interesting. Once we got used to it, and it did take a little time. there were certain areas where we knew that it would happen. We kind of were able to laugh it off. But there will be some things that are a little bit different, most likely. And I'm sure that every sailing is entirely different. We sailed at the peak of summer where there were just, tons of families and tons of children because kids are out of school, which isn't something that we normally do. I would imagine the cruise experience on MSC or any ship, in the middle of October or November is totally different. So go into it with an open mind. Know that yes, it is going to be somewhat different, but isn't every cruise line a little bit different? All right, Mr. Cruise Tips TV, I would imagine we have a gazillion questions coming in. I'm gonna grab a couple while you get organized. Is that okay?
I am ready. We do have a gazillion for sure, and they're really good questions.
Good. Okay, I'm gonna start at the bottom and I'm gonna work my way up. Caribbean Queen, yes, the staff is friendly. More often than not, they were extremely friendly. In some cases, they were slightly more just accommodating, but not maybe overly effusive. So they might say, "How can I help you, ma'am?" But there wasn't a huge smile and they weren't falling all over themselves, but for the most part, they were extremely friendly. Yes, someone asked if we lived overseas. Yes, we did. We lived in Spain for a year. The upcharge, Violet, for zipping is $5. No charge for sliding, but you must sign the waiver anyway. Again, no charge for the water slides, but you have to sign the waiver. Okay, Mary, we did not see topless women at the pools on our sailing, but remember, we were in port 4 days and rarely by the adult pools. When we went to the pools, we were with my kids, so there may have been topless women. I did not see them. Shailene, there were no odors on our cruise whatsoever. I do believe that that issue has been resolved. I never heard a single person talking about it on our sailing. I think it might be old news. I'm not sure, but I haven't. Maritza, I believe they're vegan friendly. We tried to ask around a little bit. I've heard that they're really doing well with accommodating alternative diets and gluten-free diets and everything you could imagine from vegan to kosher to allergies, but I didn't have a personal experience with that. Mike and Cheryl, yes, the adult pools are much deeper than the norm. They do not have shallow ends. However, they do have a children's pool, and that one is totally shallow. But yeah, what you've read about that is correct. It is straight to 6 or 7 feet. And if you want to hang out in the pool, you're holding on to the edge. You can't touch. Okay, let's see here. I'm gonna look for just a couple more questions here. Tommy from Always Be Booked is here. And Tommy, just so all of you know, Tommy and I are going to be doing a podcast interview on this, and I'll be hopefully coming onto his podcast. I'm not sure when we're doing that, Tommy, like when you're going to be airing it, but we're doing it soon. So if you wanna listen to more commentary about this, guys, go subscribe to Always Be Booked on your favorite podcast channel. How crowded was the back pool and when were the busiest times? Okay, so Tommy, sea days were jammed, but not anything unusual. So you were not going to see any more crowds than you would at the aft pool on any other cruise line. Busiest times were definitely when you would expect them to be, but they kind of softened a little bit during the dinner hours. So if I know you well, I would say go during like the 5 to 7 p.m. because it's still hot, sunny, and beautiful back there, and kind of enjoy decreased crowds. So on one side of the aft pool, Tommy, there's a really great bar. Loved the bar, kind of scoped it out with you in mind because you asked me about the ship and that kind of the entertainment side of things. That bar by the back pool is sweet. And then there's a gelato bar, a second Venki back there that's super cool too. There's no food back there, but it kind of makes it nice that there's a bar so close by. So hopefully that answers your question. And Mr. Cruise Tips TV, do you want to shoot some questions at me?
No, I'll see if that gelato is in
The gelato is amazing.
Yes, I have a bunch of questions here. Let's go way back to Erica Chitwood. Want to hear about the Kids Club, Water Park?
I'm so glad she asked about the Kids Club.
Yes, that's a good question.
Erica, the Kids Club was so cute. My son actually went in it for a day, and you know he does not spend a lot of time in kids clubs. He loved it. Thank you, Jennifer. He loved the Kids Club, and the Legos are so cool. So they, we do have, did we do an entire episode on the Kids Club, sweetheart?
No.
We didn't? Okay, so we did it.
There is a section coming out in next week's vlog.
And that's where we talked about the details on it, right? On our first sea day?
Yes.
Okay, so in our first sea day, we're going to cover the different, I believe it's the different age groups in the kids club, but I have got to tell you that it is like a Lego playground. So the kids go in there and the staff is really amazing and just really accommodating and wonderful. There's an open house on day one where the parents get to go for 2 hours. You can go hang out with them from 2 to 4 on day one, and that's what we did. And my son, he was building, he got into some kind of a Lego structure and he didn't want to quit, and he just absolutely loved it. So I highly recommend that you check it out. If your child wants to dine with them, you make sure that you let them know the day of, early in the day, because you can't just say, oh yeah, take my kid to dinner. They have to do some sort of a special arrangement, so make sure that you know that. Okay, I'm ready for the next one. It's hot, you guys, by the way. Please forgive me for taking drink breaks, but it's been over 100 in California for 2 straight weeks and we're boiling here.
All right, Wendy wants to know, are the gratuities the same on MSC? With it being a European.
Yeah, Wendy, they're pretty similar. The one thing I did notice that was totally interesting is that I didn't see options to leave additional gratuities on a lot of different services. When I got my hair done, they added like a $4 service charge automatically, but there was no place to add or sign on a lot of services. Same with the specialty restaurants, that you were not given a check to sign. I personally didn't have that experience. We bought a dining package, so it may be that because we had the dining package, but gratuities are very similar to the mass market lines, yes. Okay, I'm ready for the next one.
All right, the next one comes from Kim, that is Kim B. Carnival offers many free food venues. What free food venues does MSC offer?
Sure, no problem. Kim, as far as free food is concerned on MSC, I want to make sure I get the names of the venues correct, so I'm pulling out one of my daily planners. And we will scan, by the way, you guys, the MSC daily programs like we do for all of our cruises. Eventually, we'll get these scanned in for you. The free venues that they have would be the main dining areas. So the Seashore and Ipanema restaurants are their main dining rooms, and then they have 2 buffets, which is actually quite brilliant. They have their main buffet on deck 8, which is on that wonderful deck on the ship that has that wraparound style balcony, or I would say deck, I'm sorry, that you saw in our favorites episode a few days ago. So that's on deck 8, and that's the large buffet that has free food. And then the Biscayne Bay buffet up on deck 16 is a mini buffet that you can also go to. You do have to check the hours carefully here. So Marketplace buffet, the 2 main dining rooms, the Biscayne Bay buffet, and then there's room service depending on the level you book into. You may have complimentary room service, which is delicious, by the way, and very high quality. And there is also there's also some other areas where you can get slight upcharge food, like the gelato bar and the chocolate bar, but their prices are very reasonable. So yeah, that answers that. I'm ready for the next one.
Alrighty, Reggie and her man, and a couple of other people, by the way, wanted to know about the portions for food. Are they a lot smaller on?
I mean, the portions, I didn't find them to be any smaller than any other cruise line. I've seen all of the mass market cruise lines pull back their portions a little bit. There were some portions where I thought, oh, that's a little bit tiny. I got a risotto one night and it was kind of small for our main course, but when you're, when you've started with 2 or 3 appetizers and you're going to get dessert, you could just get another one, but nothing crazy in the way of comparison on that. I'm ready.
All right, and this is another popular question.
Okay.
One of the first people to ask it was Amy. Amy wanted to know about the entertainment. She heard that it's not that great.
So I think the entertainment is one of those things that they've gone over the top to correct, because I know that 6 months ago we were all hearing about the fact that there was opera all over the ship. I never saw or heard anything about opera on the ship, except for one show that had this, maybe a slight mention of opera, but they have totally turned it around. We saw 2 shows on board. We saw, and this is on my list of things to go over later, but we saw the show called Fly, and then the last night we saw Peter Punk. If you're following our Instagram stories, we showed you part of Peter Punk and we showed you the crowd going wild. I can tell you that they were awesome. I loved the shows, and they were short. They were like 25 to 40 minutes, so you were in and out of there. I do not like to sit through very long shows. It's not my jam. So
well, I'm going to chime in here because I'll give the guys perspective.
Okay.
And from a non-show, I'll go to the shows, but I'm not a huge fan of the shows. I thought they were really good.
They were good. I was shocked. Oh, and the other thing, junior editor, would be like singing, he was standing up, he was dancing, he was moving in his seat, and there were standing ovations on the last night. I thought the entertainment, it was mind-blowing compared to what I expected. Now, one show we didn't see that everyone was talking about that they loved was the Michael Jackson impersonator. It's not my favorite kind of music, so we didn't go. It wasn't that I don't like Michael Jackson, it's just not, I just didn't think, oh, let's go to the Michael Jackson show. Everyone was raving about it. They said the guy was so spot on that it was scary, that he looked exactly like Michael Jackson, his moves were down, and that the performance was unbelievable. We frankly loved both of the shows. The first one was kind of a combination of traditional Broadway style performance with some high flying acrobatic type things. And then the second one was like a kind of a funny takeoff on Peter Pan the last night. And it was crazy animated. So many characters, so much fun music. It was in English. Both of them were in English, but a lot of it was like not super deep storylines either, where you don't have to be totally tuned into these shows. You can kind of like, drift off and order a cocktail and have a side conversation with someone and come back and be fine. But they were great. And the cast was just so high energy and unbelievable. And I don't know if you saw my Instagram stories, you saw the guy that was doing the crazy hula hoop thing on the last night. I've never seen anything like it. The guy had like 60 hula hoops on his body from top to bottom, and the crowd went completely insane when the acrobats were crazy too. It was really, really good. The entertainment was great. Casey, I don't think that the casino is non-smoking. The live music was really fun. We saw some of the live music, but we saw more the DJ in the atrium, where they do these pop-up shows and DJ stuff in the atrium that is super cool. People really gather in that atrium for those little pop-up shows. Some of the main cast and crew of performers would come out and just do wild, random acrobatics and dances and crazy things in the atrium all of a sudden, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And all of a sudden everyone's gathered around the staircases, and it's loud and it's wild and it's fun, and people are just going nuts. So the entertainment was good, and hubby weighed in on it. I know my son loved it because I sat next to him and he was like going like this the whole time. He's like jumping around and singing things, and he had a blast.
Just one more thing, because a lot of times, one of the reasons I'm not that crazy about the shows isn't that they're not good, is they tend to all play like the same stuff all the time. And this didn't. There was not your standard fare, and I really like that.
It was different, but it wasn't strange or odd or anything like that. I think that the performers were probably all European. I don't think they were American, because they had cute accents. When they would sing in English, you could sense their accent, but they were incredibly talented and very passionate.
You know what? Let's jump on the drink package, because Sydney asked this a while ago, and Mike and Cheryl are following up. Did you see it?
I'm seeing Mike and Cheryl saying, I think Sydney had asked about the drink package and options.
He wanted to know if we got a chance to see it and what's included.
Great. David, thank you very much for that. So the drink packages, you guys, there's a lot more options on this cruise than you may be accustomed to, so you really need to read the fine print. They have a promo running right now on the MSC website that's called Drinks on Us. And so your cruise comes with a drink package, but it comes with a limited drink package. So you have to look exactly at what beers, wines, and spirits are included. Then they have a deluxe package that comes with the Yacht Club and potentially with the Aria, but then I'm seeing something different on this about the Aria, that it may be the Aria on certain ships may only include what's called the classic drink package. So my recommendation to you is to read about it based on the experience you've chosen, because they don't just have one drink package. They also have a Fantastica drink package. So if you're booking into the Fantastica level, you get 12 beverage vouchers per person to be used anywhere, which sounds pretty cool. And they even have a kid version. So you have the Fantastica drink package, you have the classic, and then you have the deluxe. There's a lot going on there, you guys, so do your research. I can tell you, I believe we had the deluxe drink package, and I never was told that I couldn't have anything. I'm pretty sure that it's just about everything except for one time, I guess I have to take that back. I was denied certain champagnes in the champagne bar, but hello, who's gonna serve you a glass of Dom Perignon on a drink package? There's always gonna be an upcharge for something like that. So know that there are several. I really hope that that helped. Whoever asked the drink package questions, please let me know if I answered that adequately, because I don't want to leave you hanging, but I also can't give you the details on every package because I don't have experience personally with them and I don't know which ship you're on and which one you booked. Okay.
Though that question came from our great friend Sydney, who's been with us forever. And
Sydney
of course,
Forrester?
Yeah, and
Oh, cool.
Mike and Cheryl
Okay.
followed up on that. And speaking, I heard you cover a little bit about the tiers, the class
Yes.
structure there.
Yeah.
And Maddie wanted to know how we found the tiers on MSC, because Maddie has always found them confusing.
Mm-hmm. Maddie, I would agree with you. I think they're confusing too. And I think that it's because the North American market isn't used to cruising with different experiences. You're not used to the fact that there could be people in 5 levels of experiences on the ship. We did not hear people complaining about it. People seem to understand what was and wasn't included in their experience, but I still came away from the cruise feeling like when I was talking to you guys, I wanted to recommend to you that you go as high as you can. Because I think with the Bella package, when I look at this list and I don't see a lot of check marks in these categories, it makes me think that some people could be disappointed. So I really want you to look towards pushing up into the highest level that you can afford, because you don't want to be missing out. Maurice, the cruise director, was not American. He was delightful, but I do not know exactly what nationality he was. But he had, was he, you know what? I actually think he was North American. He didn't, no, he was. I think he was. So I'm gonna say he was either American or Canadian, because I can't promise you that he wasn't Canadian. What was his name? Rick?
You have to tell what your favorite drink is. They're going crazy.
My favorite drink?
Yes.
Okay, you know what was rockin' good that I kept ordering? I'm so hot. Can you turn the fan on for me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. I loved the Cosmos on this trip. You guys know how I feel about sugary drinks. I don't like them. And when you're in hot, muggy weather, you gotta stay hydrated. That's a terrible excuse.
Stay hydrated.
Hydrated with Cosmos? Are you kidding me?
That's really the only reason you drank them, right?
That's the only reason. Okay,
And it
so.
got hot, so you had to keep going.
Yeah. The Cosmos were so good. And you know what they did? They served any martini that you ordered, they served it in a short martini glass that had a nice stable base on it. So it was still a martini glass, but it was like the kind with a little glass base. And I really liked that because I'm clumsy and it knocked things over. And it was also a very generous pour. So I'm going to say that that was my favorite. Are you turning on my fan? Why? What's wrong? Where's the remote control?
It just didn't work.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, Maurice. I'll try to figure out what nationality he was. Wendy, we didn't get the feel of the separate classes, but I have to tell you, the 7 days went by so quickly and we were in port so much that I had a hard time talking to people and asking them about their experiences. Sandra, I'm going to try not to do comparisons today because it could be a whole different episode, so please forgive me, but I'm not going to answer that because it's just too in-depth. Thank you so much. It is so hot in here. Okay, yeah. All right, I'm gonna jump back up and see what kind of questions we are missing. Oh, thank you, Paige, so much. Have a wonderful time on your cruise to the Caribbean. Paige, you're gonna have a blast, and I'd like to talk about the ports. Maybe we can do some port crossover today. Mr. Cruise Tips TV, do you have any more questions for me that I can answer before I go into the next?
I have lots.
Lots.
Now, did you already cover what class we were in?
Yeah, I told them I think we were closest to the Aria experience, but that we did have a media experience that was sort of customized by the public relations department. But when I looked at the Aria experience, I could see that it was very similar, and it included an unlimited drinks package and access to the thermal suite.
Okay, that was a question from Desi. Now let's move on. Okay. Caribbean Queen wanted us to compare the MSC Spa via other ships like Carnival and Norwegian.
I have never been in a spa that was this amazing. And we are going to show you in one of our vlogs. If you haven't seen already the snow room and all that stuff that I posted on Instagram and Facebook, it's unbelievable. I loved it. And it was one of the best massages I have ever had. I had the Balinese 45-minute massage and it was lovely. Perfect pressure, and she asked me 4 times in my massage if the pressure was right, which I really appreciate, and there was no product upsell. The spa is fantastic. Book it, book it, book it. If you are doing the thermal suite, let me tell you the prices for the thermal suite. If it is not included in your cruise, the access to the thermal suite for one day, for one person is $70. For a couple, it's $105 per day. However, if you buy the cruise pass, excuse me, for the sniffles, for the entire 7 days, it's $200 per person or $300 per couple. It's a little pricey, but you get access to all of the different experiences. So they have a saltwater thalassotherapy type pool. They have showers that have different kinds of scented rains, and they are unbelievable. I didn't want to get out of the showers. They were the coolest thing ever. They have a snow room. They have 2 types of sensory rooms, which are more like steam rooms that are scented. One of them is a dark sensory. One of them is a light sensory. The snow room is so cool in and of itself, though, that I would never go on the ship and not book a thermal package. Never. I loved it. Did I get to use it a lot? No, because we were so busy trying to cover everything and doing all of our excursions that I didn't get to. But that's the pricing for the thermal suite, and I highly, highly recommend it. Okay.
All right, let's bang out another couple here.
Okay.
An easy one from Amanda Hartsock. Are they owned by Royal Caribbean?
No, they are not owned by Royal Caribbean. MSC is privately owned, and they are called the Mediterranean Shipping Company. Yeah.
Mike and Cheryl want to know, was the service experience right up there versus other cruise lines?
Mike and Cheryl, the service was for us. We had no service issues at all. We did have a little bit of a slow room service experience where they said it was going to be like 30 minutes and it was a little closer to an hour, but I don't necessarily know that that was a service problem.
Yeah, and you're going to get that on any ship.
Yeah, and 90% of the restaurant waiters and bar waiters were right up there and on par. But like any cruise line or any ship, there's 10% that are cranky. And that is every ship I have ever been on. I have never been on a ship where every single human that works for the cruise line is happy. Hey, Tony. Tony and Jenny are here from La Lido Loca, and the internet was good. Their packages, they have a lot of packages, Tony, and it's not exactly what you're used to. I had a 6 gig package, and just to give you a total like instant breakdown on what that meant for me, I had to log in and out like you did on your last cruise, by the way, I saw that. And I got about 6 or 7 hours out of my 6 gigs. I was doing social uploads. We did not live stream, so I was doing no streaming. But I also was checking work email because my job was busy that week and I felt bad for leaving on a last minute vacation. So it was pretty good. My understanding, I did some research today in the MSC For Me app, and I think they have an unlimited package, but I didn't book it. I didn't know about it because I had 6 gigs as part of our package. But I think that there's a $90 unlimited, and if I were going on that cruise again, I would 100% just go unlimited if it's available. But the quality was really strong, the entire cruise. Middle of nowhere in the ocean off the coast of Cuba or whatever. It was totally strong connection, so I recommend it. Sometimes I felt like my it was eating the internet was kind of going pretty quickly. It was flying through the gigs a little bit there, but I just got in, did what I needed to do, and got out. Is it my favorite way of doing internet? No, I prefer unlimited packages, so I might do an unlimited package if I sail with them again. So yeah, Louise, drinking water is good and safe on all of them, but they did spoil us with bottled water in the dining rooms the whole time, and I was like, wow. This is crazy. I was drinking sparkling water in the dining room the nights we were there, and I really liked that. No language barriers, Isabella. The staff is all English speaking, Isabella. 0 language barriers. Never at all. Yes, Reggie, this is the cruise line where they make announcements in different languages. However, we hardly noticed it. I had heard people saying that they felt like they went on and on and on, and they were all the time. No, they're not. They might be like a few times a day. Maybe in a tender port, they might tell you what the tender operation is, and then that's it, and then you do not hear it again for hours. They definitely had more announcements on the first day because of the muster drill. So they're getting people to the muster drill, which, by the way, was the quickest one I've ever been to. It was like really short. I don't know how they do that. It was really, really short. And then people who, you know how on this particular cruise line, you have a lot of folks coming over from Europe, right? They don't sail away until 7 p.m. So you've got people trickling in all the way up until 6:30 or 7. So they had a makeup muster drill for the European passengers who weren't able to attend the regular muster drill. Okay. So Haichi wants to know, how is the food on board? So I really think that we should talk about that. And Naomi, yes, we're going to talk about the 3 or 4 things we missed on this ship at the end. But yeah, Mark, they were definitely speaking English on this ship. I didn't hear any other languages. What, are you running?
That's my son. We got lots of questions.
Lots of questions. You guys, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get to all of them. I'm going to do my darndest, but please let me get back on to some of the things I promised that I would cover, and I'll do it quickly. All right, so you already heard about our cabin. Let's talk about dining. I know food is a big thing. It's a big thing, and you guys are asking me, was the food good? Was the food good? Was the food good? Okay, we had 3 nights in the main dining room. 2 of those nights were formal nights. The first formal night was extremely crowded, and it was very loud, but that's not entirely different from other ships that we have been on, but we did wait. We did specialty dining in the teppanyaki the first night. So the first formal night, the second day of the cruise, was our first experience in the main dining room. We tried 3 of the specialty dining restaurants. The teppanyaki, which is very popular and I cannot recommend highly enough. Ocean Cay, the specialty seafood restaurant, it's a little pricey. It's $50 per head for the dining experience, but it's worth it. We went there twice. It was so good the first night, we went back a second night. They have a $12 menu for children. Thank you, Bonnie. That's very sweet. And then we also we dined in the Yacht Club by special invitation twice. Lunch on the first day, dinner the last night. Yacht Club meals are great. We went to the buffet for several of the days that we were on the ship for breakfast and things like that. We ate almost all of our lunches were either at the buffet or in port. So 4 out of 6 of our lunches were in port. So again, we were off the ship a lot of the time. So how was the food? The food was good. We never ever had a meal where we said, I couldn't find something I liked. We loved the pizza. We loved the gelato. We loved Venki, the chocolate shop, and the coffee was unbelievable. There were differences in the food than what you may be used to. In the main dining room, they have an always available menu though, just like they do on every other cruise ship. Salmon, chicken, baked potatoes, all that stuff you can get. It was very comparable to any other cruise line that we have been on. And like I said, we always found something that we liked. There were things at the buffet that it was hectic sometimes, like any other buffet, but we always knew we could get that pizza that was so good. It was so Italian, it was thin, it wasn't extremely overloaded with cheese. So if you like North American pizza with gobs of cheese, sometimes it's a little more cheesier than others. You might have to get a couple pieces. Wasn't super cheesy. I loved the salad bar at the cruise on the buffet. They had like real mixed greens instead of like a massive thing of iceberg. There were a lot of things that were not very American about it. They had a big, huge tub of artichoke hearts. You could have all the artichoke hearts that you wanted. I kept looking at it going, that is like $700 worth of artichoke hearts. And the toppings were a little bit more gourmet. I didn't see a lot of things like sunflower seeds, croutons, you know, like real American things, but they had all the American dressings. Ranch, Thousand Island, Caesar, all of those in very nice containers. I personally loved the salad bar. We enjoyed breakfast very much in the buffet. They had an omelet station. They had lots of different eggs. They had these little egg muffin tin things that I loved for breakfast. They had eggs Benedict. They had the standard stuff you get on every cruise. Bacon, potatoes, oatmeal, cereals. They didn't put cereals out in little boxes like a lot of cruise lines do, but rather they let you choose them out of, you know, like they had them in containers. And then they had a little bit more of a European type of cereal selection in addition to that, but you also had your oatmeal and things like that. They had breakfast pizza, you guys. So you could go, because there's always pizza in the buffet. Like, you know you're gonna get good, solid pizza anytime. It's MSC, it's an Italian cruise line. They had these pizzas and every slice would have a baked cracked egg on it. It was so good. So my favorite breakfast was to go get a piece of, what are you doing? More questions? I gotta wrap it up. Okay. I'm gonna tell my favorite breakfast. I would get a big old piece of breakfast pizza and I would put an omelet on top of it. And that's my breakfast every day. Okay, so we already talked about the shows. The white party on this ship, let's talk about entertainment for 2 seconds. The white party was unbelievable. It was so fun. Do not miss it. It's crazy. It's lively. It's line dancing and other exotic, cool international dances that you'll learn. And everyone goes and everyone has a fun time. In my Instagram stories, you saw people who were 7 years old and you saw people who were 75 years old. Don't miss it. Pop-up shows in the atrium are awesome. We already talked about internet. And before we answer questions, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys the things that we missed on this ship, the things that we wish we had. Did we hate them? Of course not. I've never been on a bad cruise. I've been on a 2-night cruise before, and I'd never want to do that again. That was the only time I'd say, okay, that wasn't worth it. But I have never been on a bad cruise, and these are not big deal things. But before I answer questions for the last 15 minutes, I'll tell you the things I missed. I missed having my own laundry room. I really like cruising with a self-serve laundromat and an iron. Our clothes were very wrinkly. Mr. Cruise Tips TV did some kind of sorcery to get the wrinkles out of my yellow dress so that I could wear it again at the end of the cruise. But we did carry on only. I really wanted to do my own laundry and I wanted an iron. I missed that badly. I've had that happen on other cruise lines though. There's lots of cruise lines that don't have laundry and irons. That's just me, it's my thing. They needed more storage in the rooms. In the cabins, the storage was very limited. And I'm sure that is not a secret. That is something I'm sure MSC is aware of, but you can't change the design of a stateroom. It's already been done. The shower is really small. My husband is 6 foot, and in a standard balcony, so not the kind with the bathtubs, but the kinds with just showers, that shower, it was hard for him to move around in. And the bathroom is very, very small, comparatively speaking. So, and the only other thing I noticed that I can't say I personally missed it, but I saw was missing on the ship was that there was no poolside dining. So like there were buffets everywhere. There was a buffet on the deck with the pool, but it wasn't like, you know how you can get like burgers and things by the pool? Unless I missed something, I didn't see that. So those are the things that we did wish that we had on this cruise. Those were as a family when we talked about it and we said, what did we not care for, so to speak? We all said the same things. The biggest one probably being the size of that shower and the storage. All right. Let's see what we can do. Dardink, I think kids sail free all the time with MSC because I see it as kind of like an ongoing thing on their website. So let's answer questions. I'm ready.
All right, let's try to bust through a few of these. KCR 305. Anytime dining, not a fan. Was it impersonal and were you rushed?
We were not rushed. It wasn't impersonal. It was just a little crowded on our sailing is what I would say. Yeah. Next question.
Good answer. Mark E. Webster, wristband for sale. Does it cost money?
$5 for the wristband, unless you're in a certain experience, and I'm sure like if you're in the yacht club, it's included, but $5 per person, absolutely and totally worth it. You can take it in the water, you never take it off. And if you lose it, you just go to the front desk and they give you another one. Love this, okay?
All right, I like this question a lot, and I'm kind of tempted to try and answer it, but probably take forever. From Gail. Gail Aber.
Gail Aber, our friend Gail.
Because you were sponsored, do you feel like you can be very frank about the good and the not so good?
I do, and we wouldn't accept a sponsored cruise if we couldn't come back and tell you guys the truth. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't sail on a cruise line, or I wouldn't agree to go on a cruise where we couldn't be honest when we came back. That's not our jam. Our relationship with you guys is the most important thing that we have. Our integrity with you, the relationship, the trust that we have built is way more important. So hopefully, Gail, you've been able to see that today and that we have been able to give you an unbiased review. I hope so.
I would say that we treat this just like any other cruise. Mm-hmm. And if you're looking for YouTubers or advice from people who are hypercritical, that's not what we do. We never have. I mean, we've taken, I think early on we took a cruise and we were disappointed and we said, let's not ever compare this cruise again because it ruins the whole cruise if you start looking at all the negatives. And we're more positive. We look for the positive. We loved to cruise.
You said that so beautifully. And it is true. You guys never see us come back complaining about our cruises. You might see us have a bad day. You might see us have a bad experience, but we do not focus on that stuff because there's no perfect cruise. What are we always saying to people? Honey, you said that so beautifully. I really.
Was my mic on?
Thank you, Bonnie. And we are positive people. And that is just the way that we are. I am one of those people that wants to go out, spreading joy every day of my life. And that's what we do. If something goes wrong, yes, you hear about it, but I'm not going to make a video about it. It's just not who we are.
Well, and that's all part of the adventure too. I mean, I think there's something that goes wrong, I'm doing air quotes, there's something that goes wrong on every cruise, but a lot of times it can even make the cruise better. And sometimes when something happens, you miss a port, or you can't get to a port on time, or an excursion gets canceled, we see people that they go totally crazy. And I've got to say that ruins their entire cruise, and we just don't want that to happen to us.
Yeah. You're saying exactly what I was kind of like feeling in my heart, but then I couldn't say it. Yeah, thanks, Tony. I totally agree with you.
All right, take the rest of the show off. I'll get these questions.
Okay, go. I'm just going to go ahead and go spike my drink. Why don't you just continue?
I like that. Kay Sorensen, did
early.
it cost something to use the water rides?
No, the slides are free. The zip line costs $5 a person. Oh, and the activities. Okay, we didn't cover this today. We have a whole episode dedicated to the Fun Pass. The Fun Pass includes a lot of the entertainment that does cost money. The zip lines, the bowling, the XD cinema or SD cinema, and the Formula One race car, the billiards table, and Mr. Cruise Tips TV. What am I missing? Anyway. You can buy this Fun Pass thing that gives you extra free money on top of what you're going to spend on all those things. And we did a standalone episode because it's so complicated that you don't want to talk about it in a daily vlog. Okay.
Yeah, we have a couple of standalone episodes coming for things that we felt like might be interesting to people, so get ready for that.
Okay.
All right, James Packwood says, have you read other reviews of the Seaside? Because some are not very positive.
Yeah, of course. We've been following Seaside since the ship came out. I don't put a lot of stock in reviews all the time because if you go looking for reviews on any ship, there's a lot of people who are just looking to write a negative review. I do believe that MSC Seaside had a learning curve when they first came out. I'm sure Davina did too. And I would say that it still does feel to some degree like an Italian or European cruise company. You need to go into it knowing that. We liked it. We used to live in Europe. We loved a lot of the things about it, but I can see how people, just because it's different, would just want to go crazy and say, we didn't like it because it was different. But that's just not who we are. We're adventurous travelers and we loved it. And I was telling my husband the whole time, I don't know how my life on a cruise will ever be the same after I've experienced the coffee and the pizza on this ship. There were some things that, yeah, they were totally different, but they blew my mind. The gelato, the chocolate shop, the coffee, and the pizza literally became daily staples in our life that I was like, I don't ever want to go on a cruise where there's not coffee this good again. It was that good. So yeah, I mean, of course we read the reviews. Obviously, there were things that were big problems too in the beginning, like the poop smell. That's definitely something that they had to overcome, and of course, we didn't experience that. But you know, we've read bad reviews about every ship on the market, and people pick their ships and they pick their things and they dig in and they keep going. All right.
All right, let's move on.
Okay.
Does a yacht club have access to the spa all week?
Yes, Yacht Club guests, and again, we're going to do a standalone episode on the Yacht Club because we have so much info. You have thermal suite access all week.
That was from Leanne. I got to credit these people when they asked these questions.
Thanks, Leanne.
Good question. And I answered this, or at least I tried to answer this in the chat, but it's a good question. Kelly wanted to know if the glass bridge is scary for somebody that would be afraid of heights.
Kelly, it might be a little scary for someone that's afraid of heights, yeah. I definitely got dizzy when I looked down, and I have no height issues. I have no vertigo. I have nothing like that.
Yeah, our son says he doesn't like heights, although he'll climb all over the place and stuff. But
he's just saying that.
He just danced around on it like it was nothing, so.
Totally. I have neglected to go over our ports and activities, and I promised everyone I would do that. We got to do that. Got any questions? Okay.
Oh, I got lots of questions.
Okay, you guys, we're going to switch gears. We got to talk about the Caribbean ports here. Let's see how much I can cram into 7 minutes. All right. First day of the cruise, we went to Ocho Rios, Jamaica. We docked there. Getting on and off the ship was incredibly smooth. Literally walked right off, no problems, easy peasy. Same with tendering. Every single on and off the ship experience on this cruise, guys, was flawless. No waiting in the stairwells, no delays, no tender ticket lines, nothing. It was great. Ocho Rios, we did a private tour with a company called Pete, P-E-A-T, Taylor Tools. Pete Taylor Tours, and we went with a guide to the Blue Hole and to, we did a little river rafting on a very calm river. We're talking like black inner tube with like, you're still wearing your water shoes and no helmet or no life jacket. It was super chill. And we had probably one of the best days of our cruising life. As a family, the adventure was insane. We were visiting waterfalls, scaling waterfalls, and then jumping off of 20 and 30 foot heights into the pool beneath the waterfall. Even our son did it. Unbelievable.
It was crazy.
Our son was a beast. Go watch the Instagram stories, wait for the vlog. My child had the time of his life on this cruise. It was probably one of the most fun family adventure cruises we have ever had. Okay, day 2 was that must have been Grand Cayman. We did an organized tour with the cruise line. So we did Stingray City with Allura Catamaran. It was an MSC excursion. It was great. The guides made us feel super comfortable. The stingrays that we got to interact with were super docile. One of them didn't even have a tail or a barb. Poor little thing was like 60 or 30 or some odd years old and didn't even have a barb. It's really sweet and fun. A lot of people on that tour, as you saw in my Instagram stories, as you'll see in the vlog. It was pretty crowded, but it was really fun. All right, day 3, Mr. Sanchos. People are asking, you guys want to know about Mr. Sanchos and how it compares to Nachi Cacombe. Okay, so we got the day pass, the all-inclusive day pass at Mr. Sanchos. It was pouring rain when we got to Cozumel. We got a taxi cab, which cost us, I believe, $20 approximately one way. We had bought the $55 day pass for adults, and we had also bought the wristband to use the water sports. It's called like the Aquaventure or something like that. And again, time of our life. My husband and son were out there climbing on those things, jumping off of all of the different water structures. It is very intense. I pulled muscles 2 out of the 3 days that we were doing wild things. I literally pulled muscles in my body that I didn't even know I had. It was crazy. They had a lifeguard on a kayak out there though. The food was good, the drinks were good, the service was good. If you're going with your family and you don't mind a little more crowded, lively environment, Mr. Sanchos is fun. If you're going as a couple and you want a little bit more quiet and way fewer people, I highly recommend Nachi Cacombe still. I'm so glad to say that we've tried them both. My son would kill me if I didn't take him back to Mr. Sanchos though, because that water park, he was so angry when we took him out to eat. He did not want to get out. He was so mad. He pursed up his face and refused to towel dry and refused to eat and refused to take off his goggles. He was just flat out angry. So if that tells you anything, super fun. And the staff was precious. They were so sweet. And the food was really good. Great shrimp cocktail, good coconut shrimp. Portions were not huge, but when you're getting unlimited food, who cares? You just order more guacamole or whatever and you're fine. Okay, last port day was a real treat. Many of you knew that what we wanted to do in Nassau was take junior editor, or just anywhere on this cruise, to take junior editor for a dolphin swim. Well, unfortunately, we waited too long and too late, and we could not get a dolphin swim. The only opportunity for one was in a port where we already had a paid excursion, so we couldn't do it, so we didn't get to make that dream come true for him. And I just want to thank everybody who gave us those massive super chats that day in efforts of us getting him a dolphin swim. We're going to do that as soon as we can on another cruise, but he got to do something so cool, and I cannot wait to tell you. If you haven't already heard what we did in Nassau, we got in touch with Atlantis, the resort, and it turns out that one of our subscribers is the senior aquarist, or aquarist, I think it's said that way, at Keisha, her name is Keisha, at Atlantis Resort. We went on a behind-the-scenes tour, you guys, of the aquatic area. Behind the scenes of the aquarium, we got to see the fish hospital. We got to see where they made fish food. Hate to say it again, but if you followed our Instagram stories, you saw them chopping fish heads off. Unbelievable, precious experience with Keisha. My son was so beside himself. He loved it. And then after that, we got to go to the Atlantis Waterpark. And that day pass is such a treat. I know that many of you know that it's very expensive. And for a family, it really is. It costs the same as one of the premium like adventure parks, and I'm sure it's like more than Disneyland, to be quite honest with you. When I thought about it, I was like, I think that's a little more than Disneyland. However, if you get there early and you spend the whole day, it is so much fun. We vlogged about it, and you'll see all the details on that. But thank you guys so much for helping us to have that fun adventure in Nassau, because my gosh, the aquarium, yes, Bonnie, the aquarium is incredible. The dig is amazing. It was just so fun. We had a blast. We had a blast. So that's what we did in all of the ports. I hope that that helps. We are 2 minutes away from the 1 hour point, and we really would love for you guys to continue giving us tips on dolphin swims in different ports whenever we go on a cruise where that's available. We're going to ask you guys again where to go, and we're going to make that happen for him. But I got to tell you, Junior was loving life at Atlantis, and be in the behind the scenes where he got to see all of these little teeny tiny baby fish and things like that. It was just amazing. All right, I'm ready. I'm ready. Go ahead, sweetie.
Okay, Melissa wanted to know if we booked our excursion through MSC, or did we book outside of MSC?
The only one we booked through MSC was the Stingray. Everything else we booked outside.
Do I need to fill in?
Love, joy, gratitude. That's interesting that you say that about the Bella guests not being able to eat in the main dining room, because I had heard that too, but I can't find information on it. The printout here doesn't say whether or not you're allowed in the dining room. I know that they're allowed in the buffet and everything, but I'd be really surprised if you weren't allowed to eat in the main dining room, but we need to look into that and try to get the answer for you. Another reason, though, to try to bump up into another level just in case. Thank you, Anne, for the beautiful post. I'm ready for more questions.
All right, KCR305. Is the casino non-smoking, and how is the variety of live music?
The casino is relatively small. It is not non-smoking, but interestingly enough, I don't remember experiencing a lot of smoke in the casino. Where we experienced a lot of smoke in this ship was on the back by the aft pool. There's one side that's a smoking side, and back by that aft pool, there's a little less airflow, so that's where we noticed the smokiness.
Did you think the casino was small? I mean, we can't spend too much time on this, but I thought
even
the
person who was giving us the tour of the ship said it's kind of a smaller casino.
I guess it's all relative.
Yeah, you're just not used to paying attention to the casino, so you probably didn't notice it, but it's a little bit on the small side. Now, I also didn't see a ton of people gambling on this cruise. They were busy. They were busy doing other things.
That is true. Leanne wanted to know, is the thermal package included with the Yacht Club?
Yes, thermal package included with Yacht Club. Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
Desi wants to know, does the buffet close during the day?
Oh, I think the buffet does close for a few hours here and there, but we did notice that they were trying to incorporate more snack times in. So they would close down to just like every other cruise line does, they close down to a really limited station or section. I don't know, I don't think it's 24 hours, but room service is 24 hours. But I can tell that they're trying to not have as much limited dining room time. Every time we went, there was something, but I did see them closing large portions of it and shrinking it down to like just the pizza, burgers, and salad area, and maybe fruit. And yeah, so it's not 24/7. Thanks, Mike and Cheryl. Enjoy the baby, the octopus.
Jonathan, sorry, are you ready?
No, it's okay. Sydney said, did it ever feel crowded with the amount sailing? Yeah, Sydney, this ship it is a big ship and it holds a lot of people, and there were times when it did feel crowded. Most of the time on sea days, I think most cruise ships do feel crowded by the pools and the buffet, and this one did too. Yeah, it did, sometimes. Nothing unusual though. Okay. Sorry, Mr. Cruise Tips TV, go ahead.
I'm here when you need me.
Okay.
Jonathan Gorman, all we have ever cruised is Carnival. Are there any hidden fees cruising with MSC?
There's not hidden fees, but compared to Carnival, you may find that there are some experiences that may cost you a little bit more. Like, for example, well, I don't know that it's that different than Carnival or any other cruise line. You have upcharge things. Just like you have the, seafood restaurant on that line, you might have gelato that's an upcharge here or there. Maybe a few more opportunities for upcharge things on MSC than Carnival specifically, but again, I don't like to do the comparisons, you guys, because it's just not apples to apples. I'm ready for the next one.
Well said. Ginger wanted to know how everyone was dressed. I tried to answer this one already, but
okay.
How was the bedding, and did we take our pillows?
Okay, we didn't take our pillows. Bedding was good. Never felt uncomfortable. And the funny thing is the pillows were more small than usual, which I like. We like thin pillows, and I never had a neck ache. I never thought about that until Ginger just asked. And the fact that I didn't notice it is a really good sign. People were dressed
I missed the pillow.
to the nines on formal night, Ginger. to the nines. Very, very, very dressy people on this cruise. There were also people in t-shirts on formal night in the main dining room.
It was you name it, and we saw people in like cut off Levi's and basketball shorts and tank tops and hats
But for the most part, it was super glam. Like one of the most glam cruises I've ever seen. Did I see a lot of tuxedos? Not a ton, but I saw a lot of sports coats on men. That's for sure. Okay, port parking, Carrion. I don't know which port you mean. If you mean in Port of Miami, it's probably different at every terminal, so you probably want to jump on their website and check it out. Okay.
All right, we already covered this, but I want to give Jessica credit for asking the question. Mm-hmm. She wanted a little bit more information about Mr. Sanchos.
About Mr. Oh, we already got Mr. Sanchos.
Yes,
I got her.
I just want to give her credit for the question. Okay. Ollie Lang says, hey, CCTV. Ollie from Jamaica. So happy you guys enjoyed your excursion at Ocho Rios.
Oh, we did, Ollie. Thank you so much. Jamaica, I was very pleasantly surprised at my experience in Jamaica, and now I will want to return. Ginger wants to know, will you be adding a blog post on MSC or mostly vlogs? Ginger, we don't necessarily plan to write about it, but I do want to write a review that I can post on cruiseline.com. So, which I normally do anyway, but I'll do review and photos for cruiseline.com. Yeah. Good question, Ginger. That's a very clever question.
All right. Fred asked this question quite a while ago, but I told him we would get to it. Did they reveal any information to us about Ocean Cay, MSC's private island?
No, they didn't. We didn't hear anything about Ocean Cay yet. I'm so sorry. James wants to know what the yacht club food and area were like. You're going in January. James, we loved it. We want to sail in the yacht club so badly now. We really got the itch for it because we got a little taste. We had lunch on the first day, dinner on the second day, on the last day, and they were both good. I wanted more time to evaluate the food, so I can't really report on the total package with just 2 meals, but it was good. And the snacks that they have available all the time are really nice as well. They have snacks from something like 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. Really, really nice to have that little private snack area. And the environment is beautiful. The Topsail Lounge is absolutely lovely. It's very sun-filled, and it rests at the very front of the ship, so you've always got the drama of the sunset in the evening if you're facing that direction. It's just so gorgeous. No, Bob, we did not find the announcements to be long. They were infrequent. Yes, they were in multiple languages, but they were infrequent. And I've already answered this question from Amanda, but no, MSC is not owned by Royal Caribbean. They're their own company. They're privately held. They're called Mediterranean Shipping Company. That's what MSC stands for. Yes, DL, they had stores and shops. They were great, and they were reasonably priced for their MSC logo type store. My hat that I got, that cute pink hat, was like, I don't know, maybe $10. Super good prices. Steven, the next vlog should be coming Thursday on our sea day. All right, it looks like we probably need to sign out. We've been on for over an hour. Casey, the mustard drill was the shortest we've ever been to. There was no life jacket. It was inside, and it was under 20 minutes. Very painless, very, very painless. All right, you guys, I know I probably missed some questions, and as always, if I did miss your question today, I apologize. Please wait until the episode saves to replay, and we'll do our darndest to answer your questions there. If you have any other questions about the ship, we'd be more than happy to help. I hope that this was an honest, unbiased, but yet fun and positive account of our cruise. We had a blast. We are very much looking forward to sailing on MSC again. And who knows when or where that will happen, but I know that there will be another adventure with them someday, and hopefully it'll be in Northern Europe or something like that, because I'd really, really love to see Norway. So thank you all so very much for tuning in today. No live streams for the next 2 weekends, but please watch all of the news feeds on social media and here, because we may do something midweek since we'll be doing some traveling. Thank you for watching. Get over to Facebook and Instagram and follow us so we can keep you up to date in between. Yeah? Did you want to say something real quick? Oh, okay. All right, guys, signing off. Until next time, we'll see you on the high seas. Bye.
Cruise around the week.
Hey, click me to subscribe.